Om. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. So, in the first chapter, we looked at the tattva. What is the tattva? Tattva meaning the essence. In the second chapter, which dealt with the space, air, fire, water, earth, how to contemplate on them so that we come to the conclusion that they are not real, but that tattva, the essence, the Brahman, the reality, the self, that is the Satvastu, the real existence. The second chapter, what we concluded last week, dealt with the experienced. The first chapter dealt with the experience, and now in the third chapter we are talking about who we are essentially. So in this way, the third chapter is titled Panchakosha Vivek. Pancha means five, Kosha means sheath, Vivek means discrimination. We are not discriminating the five koshas to prove that these five sheaths are real, just like we didn't discriminate the five great elements to prove that the five great elements are real. We did that discrimination to prove that the pure consciousness is the Satvastu. Similarly, here also we are going to discriminate the five koshas to see, are they the reality? If not, then what is that which is the reality? And this way come to the right conclusion. And here this topic is that is taken, this Panchakosha Vivek, it gets mentioned in the Taittiriya Upanishad also, where the student goes to his father and says, "Father, tell me what is Brahman?" The teacher says, the teacher says, the gross body is Brahman. Go and meditate and contemplate. He comes after 1 year. He says, no, gross body cannot be the Brahman, the reality. He says, good conclusion. Pranmaya Kosh is the Brahman. Go and contemplate. Again he goes, comes back. He says, Pranmaya Kosh cannot be Brahman. And this way he goes through all the koshas. And in the end, that fellow doesn't come back. The teacher, the father, comes to know that this fellow has come to know. Because you come back and want a proof. You want to cross-check only when you are not sure. And in this way, this topic is the theme of the chapter. Guhahitam Brahma Yattata Guhahitam Brahma Yattat Panchakosha Vivekataha Shavivekataha Bodhum Shakyam Tata Kosha Shakyam Tata Kosha Panchakam Pravivichyate Pravivichyate that Brahman which is hidden in the five sheaths as referred in Taittiriya Upanishad can be realized as one's own nature by the discrimination of the five sheaths. Therefore, these five sheaths are described and separated from Brahman. We are not here doing discrimination between one sheet and the other sheet. We are here doing the discrimination of the five sheets and the Brahman. Five sheets being the unreal and Brahman being the real. Just like in previous chapter, space, air, fire, water, earth are dependent, they are existing in their own absence, they are effects of ignorance, and that because of which ignorance itself is, that is the Satvastu, that is the Brahman. And this way, discriminating through each natural element and coming to the conclusion that without Brahman it cannot exist. Similarly, here also, without Brahman these koshas cannot exist. Brahman being the foundation. Guhaitam Brahma yat tat. Brahman, this Brahman which is the core of the five koshas. The Taittiriya Upanishad says, he who knows that this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma resides in the cave of one's personality, and this can be proven. Panchakosha Vivekataha Bodhum Shakyam. Shakyam means it's possible. Bodhum, to know. How is it possible to know? Panchakosha Vivekataha, through the discrimination of the five koshas. Tataha Panchakosha Panchakam Pravivichyate. And thus, Tataha, therefore, Panchakosha Panchakam. So this five sheaths, these five koshas are going to be analyzed and discussed about, and why they are going to be analyzed and discussed, so that we can come to the conclusion that the substratum of these five koshas is nothing but the Brahman alone. And similarly, Guha Hitam, here word Guha is referred to the cave. There are many different meanings of Guha. Meaning means expressed, the meaning has been told in many different ways. Guha meaning the point where the breath comes, in-breath comes and the out-breath goes. Guha means, the cave means where the one thought ends and the next thought begins. That is the Guha. Similarly, here also, Guha means that which is innermost, cave. And which is this, what is this innermost cave? Gross body, subtle body, causal body, and inside that causal body at the base is this, inside that causal body is the cave. And in this way, so the word Guha is normally used as referring to the intellect, in the cave of the intellect, but Vidyaranya Swami says that Guha does not refer to the Vijnanamaya Kosh alone, but all the five koshas put together. That which is the substratum of the five koshas and that which is hidden under the covering of the five koshas. The Guha is the Brahman. So that cave. What is cave? Why do we say it is a cave? Cave means what?
It's a mystery.
Huh? It's a mystery. Yeah.
Secret. Or
inner dwelling.
depth.
When your attention is on the boundaries of the cave, then it looks like an inner dwelling, isn't it? But it's some dark place, unknown place, isn't it? Something to be curious about, something that is hidden. It's not straight away available to your senses. That is the cave. And here, normally it is told cave of the intellect. If you read Vivek Chudamani and all, in some of Upanishads also, the cave is the cave of the heart, or where this mention comes, it is the cave of the intellect. And here Vidyaranya Swami is saying, no, this cave is the basis of all the five koshas, not just of the intellect, of all the five koshas. And in this way, therefore, to understand what Brahman is, it is necessary to carry out a systematic process of discrimination into the nature of the five koshas. Only that knowledge which is gained by such enquiry and discrimination will have the strength and ability to stand the test of time and stress. And see, why we are, now this is what, third time we are doing? Second time. Second time. Why do we keep repeating it? Why? So that in these inquiries, by following these type of text, somewhere something clicks. And it will only click if we are subjective. If we are not subjective, if we are here in the class only collecting information, then it will not click. There will be no click. But if we are here in the class, while speaking, while hearing, and applying it, seeing how this whole thing is unfolding, and this unfoldment is not about someone, about something, it's about me. Here when we are doing Pancha Kosha Vivek, we are talking about the five koshas of not some other person. We are talking about our five koshas, our five sheaths. And they are saying, within these five sheaths, the substratum is the Brahman. Oh, substratum is that consciousness is the Brahman. And that I am must be the conclusion. Then something will shift inside. Then your response, if that shift takes place inside, then you don't have to do anything. Automatically your response outside will reflect that which has shifted in, that knowledge that has taken place within. And therefore, only that which is gained by such enquiry and discrimination, to make it long lasting, see, for that matter, you are experiencing the what you call, the bliss many times during the day. You are experiencing samadhi many times during the day. But is it long lasting? Are you abiding in that samadhi? Between every two thoughts, you are there. Between every two thoughts, you are there. So that's nirvikalpa samadhi. But how long does it last? A fleeting moment. See? Only a fleeting moment. And how many times during the day? Thousands of times. And yet we are seeking nirvikalpa samadhi. Our problem is, it comes of its own accord, it goes away of its own accord. We have got no control over it. Isn't it? The joy also comes. How does the joy come? We become happy at that very moment. The bliss sheath expresses as the ananda that you are in your mind. And within few seconds, it vanishes away. Then again another desire comes. Again you try to satisfy it. Again it gets satisfied. Again there is another. Again it goes away. You have got no control over it. On what? On the bliss. Because there is no guarantee that your desire will be satisfied or not. Isn't it? So bliss is not in your control. Being in nirvikalpa samadhi is not in your control, even though you are experiencing it every day, so many times during the day. Then what will bring this about? What will bring it about? What will bring it about?
Conviction that you understand.
Yes, the conviction. Your conviction, your single-pointed attention on that reality. Only that will. unless and until, and the more we shift our attention towards this substratum, to that extent, the attraction of this world, the attraction of these five koshas, the obsession that I am the body, breath, mind, intellect, etc., this will become weaker and weaker. And then we will be able to stay in that position and maintain that steady abidance in that nirvikalpa samadhi or in whatever or the substratum. But because we are not clear, the clarity is not about reality. Reality is already there. Reality is not going anywhere. It is everywhere, inside, outside. Then what is it that we have to become convinced about? What is it that we have to become convinced about?
That you're abiding in the self every moment.
True.
That you are
But
the
two
self
things.
itself.
But two things have to happen. Yes.
That you are the self itself.
You are the self itself, and it is not minus the world. The self is all pervading, but it's not that. But that intellectual conviction about it is not enough. No.
You have to be always.
You are see, if you are not believing it, you would not have been able to answer this question right now, isn't it? You would not have been able to make the comment. So you are convinced, but then why is it not happening?
Because of the attachments and.
Correct. Because we still have given the world some amount of reality. We have not accepted that self is the only thing that there is. We have not. So some portion of reality we are still attributing to the world. That relations, the world, the space, air, fire, water, earth, the body, breath, mind, intellect, and the outside world, all this is still, Brahman is okay. I understand, but I think I don't want to give up the world yet. I don't want to give up the world yet. And therefore the indulgence in the world, therefore the attachment in the world, therefore the obsession in the world. And that results in not being able to sit even 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, fully contemplating and concentrating and abiding in the self. This is the reason. The moment you come to the seat of meditation, some agitation comes, some disturbance comes. Why? The mind is not able to settle down. So, with this understanding, only that knowledge which is gained by such enquiry and discrimination will have the strength and stability. Strength to make the attention introverted, stability to stay there, not to get distracted by anything in world. To stand the test of time and stress. Three things are which distract us. Desha, kala, vastu. Isn't it? Three things are there, and we have the strength to say it's immaterial what place I am, what time it is, and what objects are available for me. It's immaterial. I'll be with myself. See? I have what it takes to be with myself. The five koshas are Dehad Abhyantara Pranaha, Dehad Abhyantara Pranaha, Pranad Abhyantaram Manaha, Nad Abhyantaram Manaha, Tata Karta Tato Bhokta, Tato Bhokta, Guha Seyam Parampara, Seyam Parampara. Subtler than the gross body, is the vital air sheath. Subtler than the vital air sheath is the mental sheath. Subtler than the mental sheath is the intellectual sheath. Subtler than the intellectual sheath is the bliss sheath. This is the cave sequence in that order. That means para means the subtler. Para means beyond. But para means that which is more pervasive. And apara means which is lesser, which is more conditioned, more limited. So body is, here it says, deha bhyantara pranaha. Even though here it is told that dehat abhyantara pranaha. Abhyantara means antara. One way people can misunderstand that inside the body is the prana. Antara is inside. Antara is not, here we don't have to take it in that way. Here it is, we have to take it as the body is supported by the prana, the vital air sheath. The vital air sheath in turn is supported by the mental sheath. Mental sheath in turn is supported by the intellectual sheath, and the intellectual sheath is in turn supported by the bliss sheath. Now here what has happened? The gross body becomes the apara and the vital air sheath becomes para. Then in the next equation, the vital air sheath becomes apara, limited, conditioned, etc. And the mental sheath becomes para, means beyond. Compared to the vital air body, the prana is more unlimited. Compared to pranamaya kosh, the manomaya kosh is unlimited. Compared to manomaya kosh, the intellectual sheath is unlimited and unconditioned. In comparison, therefore para. And the last one, compared to intellectual sheath, the bliss sheath is more free, more pervasive, more subtle, and therefore here the word used is parampara. Parampara meaning param apara. Param means greater. Param means more shresht, better. And in this way, here it says, tatha karta tato bhokta guha seyam parampara. Tatha karta, so in the first line we have seen, deha bhyantara pranaha, more subtler than the gross body is vital air sheath. Prana, the abhyantara manaha, subtler than the pranmaya kosh is manomaya kosh. But then they are not mentioned the intellectual sheath and the bliss sheath. But then they are so instead in a secretive language. Tata karta tato bhokta. Tata karta, where is the doer? Doer is in the intellectual sheath. And where is the enjoyer? In the bliss sheath. And therefore it is told, Tata karta tato bhokta guha seyam parampara. So each one is in the cave of the other. In the cave of the body is the pranamaya kosh. In the cave of the pranamaya kosh is the manomaya kosh. In the cave of the manomaya kosh is the Vijnanmaya kosh. In the cave of the Vijnanmaya kosh is the Anandamaya kosh. Guha seyam parampara. Guha seyam, the outer and inner cave sequence. That is what they have told. And in this way, here we have to take that each successive kosha is the support for the previous one. So ultimate supporter of all the koshas is who? Anandamaya kosh. And because of whom is the Anandamaya kosh? That is the Parabrahma, Paramatma. These five koshas in this sequence and successive degrees of subtlety and put together is called Guha, the cave. Even though we think it is the gross body, inside the gross body is the vital air, inside the vital air, in the cave of the vital air is the what you call the mental sheath. In the cave of the mental sheath is the intellectual sheath. In the cave of the intellectual sheath is the bliss sheath. And somewhere deep inside is Brahman. But converse is actually true. Converse is true. The cave is not just within. The cave is without. Because that which is subtler has to be more pervasive, isn't it? So the vital air sheath, even though we say it is inside the body, but actually it is the element of vital air is more pervasive than the body, isn't it? It's occupying more area. So if you look at it the other way,
Swamiji, isn't this parallel to the 5 elements?
similar,
But not the individual.
exactly similar, exactly similar. The process is the same. So more pervasive than the gross subtle vital air body is the mental body. So that mind which is so can go so far, how can it be contained only inside this? And even finer than that is intellect. So each one successive sheath is more encompassing, more pervasive.
Swamiji,
Brahman being the ultimate. Huh.
Swami, enjoyer you said is a bliss sheath.
Bliss sheath.
Is enjoyer is the same as experiencer?
That you find out.
So the chapter 1 we're studying to whom the experience is.
In short,
Yeah.
no.
Oh,
Experiencer is not the enjoyer.
okay. Okay.
Experiencer, if he is the witness, he is not the enjoyer. If experiencer is the doer, he is the intellectual sheath. If experiencer is the enjoyer, he is the bliss sheath. Okay? Because how does ego express? In some other book, text which we did, there it came. The ego expresses. How do you know there is a ego? How do you know? Just by looking at the body you can say ego? No. Only when the feeling that I have to do something in life, and if I get something and I will enjoy that and I experience the bliss of what I have done, then you realize that there is a ego. That is the doing of the ego. That is the workings of the ego. So this ego expresses, this I expresses as two, doer and enjoyer. And it creates the whirlpool for itself. The more it does, the more it enjoys. The more it enjoys, the more it does. It gets caught up in that. Why do you do something? To get the results. Nobody does to enjoy bad results. They only do things to enjoy good results, isn't it? You don't eat food to vomit it out. You eat food to enjoy it. The more you enjoy, the more you want to eat food. And you overeat and become sick. Look at it, look at that process at your whole life. Whole life is about doing and enjoying. And because you enjoy, so you're doing more. Eventually, this equation that is there, to do, to enjoy, and enjoy to do, will lead you to stress, depression, etc., etc. We have to get out of that. It's a very unhealthy state to remain at the ego level. All this will be covered. Now the teacher proceeds to define each kosha and to show how it cannot be Atman. Atman, the self. How the Annamaya kosh, Pranamaya kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vijnanmaya Kosh and Anandamaya Kosh, how these 5 sheaths are not the self. That is going to be shown. Pitrubhuktan jadviryat Pitrubhuktan jadviryat Jato nenaiva vardhate To nenaiva vardhate Dehasonnamayo natma Sonnamayo natma Prakchordhvam tadabhavatah Dvam tadabhavatah. The gross body is born of the seeds of the parents, which are in turn the result of the food consumed by them. It grows on food. This gross body cannot be Atma because of its prior and later absence. How is this gross body formed? From the seeds of the parents. The seed of the parent, the father, goes and meets the seed of the mother, and life begins, and the body gets, not life does not begin, body begins, life comes afterwards. Body begins to form. And where is the energy, or where is the material coming into to build up that body? From the food that the mother is eating. That's all there is to it. So what they have eaten, their essence has gone into making the body. Pitra bhukta, what is Pitra bhuktana jat viryat jato ne naiva vardhate. Out of the food eaten by the parents and the seeds that are produced, thereafter is born the body. And this body only grows on the food, and that which so have we created the body? No. Who has created the body? The parents. We have entered into the body and started saying this is what I am. Now you may not remember entering the body. You may not remember entering the body. But you do the, what is that? Digression, transgression, क्या बोलते हैं उसको? They do some breathing exercises and they take you back in time. You can experience it. When you entered the womb, people have. Because you can know your past and future. Saha ayam annamayaha. Therefore it is called Annamaya Kosha, because it is born from food and it survives on food. That's why. Thus we do not have any ownership of this body. It is the product of someone else. We have got no right to call it our own. And it is not the Atma, because prak urdhvam na abhavata. Because before it was not there, and after it will not be there. Before it was not there and after it will not be there. Before you started saying this body, was it there? No. Before the parents came together, was this body there? No. After death, will it be there? No. After the transfer delete of this body, shift delete of this body, will it be there? No. So that which is not before and that which is not after, which is appearing to exist only for some period of time, how can it be the self? How can it be the Atma? Because we have seen from chapter 1 and chapter 2, Atma is that which is the undeniable experience, which has never become less, which has never become more, which is continuous, which we have never had an experience of absence. That is Atma. So in this way, the point that the gross body cannot be Atman is further explained. Purva janmanya sanne tata Janmanya sannetata Janma sampadayet katham Janma sampadayet katham Bhavi janmanya satkarma Janmanya satkarma Na bhunjiteha sanchitam Bhunjiteha sanchitam. The body was non-existent in the last life. How can it conduct this life? And this body will not exist in the next life. Therefore, the accumulated karma of this life will not be experienced by it in the next life. Therefore, the gross body cannot be Atma. For whom is the sanchit karma, the agami karma and the prarabdha karma? For whom? Is it for an inert object?
For the individual.
Huh?
For the body, for the... I don't believe in rebirth.
Good. For whom is it? If in previous life, we are taking only that example right now. In previous life, if a person did some certain good deeds or bad deeds, the karma accrued on account of that, or by that body, will it go to the next body? How can it? Has that body from the past life come into this body? Has come into this this body, is expressing as this body? No. That body got deleted, now a new body has come, isn't it? So if we say there is transfer of karma from the past life into this life, was it a body transfer?
Mind transfer.
Whatever. Was it body transfer? No.
Swamiji, when you say previous life, it could be within this life any act that you have done as well. Can't we understand
Absolutely.
it that way?
Yes.
You don't have to actually go back to...
No, you don't have to.
The dead.
That's your smartness that you can see it that way. So, what act you did as a 10-year-old? Can you say, I must suffer because of that act in this body at this age? That this body must repent for the acts that it has done at that time, at 10 years old? But 10-year-old body and, I don't know, 50-year-old body is totally different. There is nothing similar. I think by the time, if you, how many? Say 10, 40. 3 times all the cells have changed. Nothing of the original is left. Then for whom? You can take it that way. But understand, we can say the same thing about mind also. So really speaking, we have studied in some place where prarabdha and all has got zero value anyway. But here we just take a lower standpoint and we understand that the karmas done in the previous life at the level of body, karma is done by the body, isn't it? Through the body actually you should say. The deeds done by the body in the previous life, will it accrue the merits or demerits in this life? No, because that body is absent in this life. How can you transfer them here? So therefore, that body ended, this body has started, this body is also going to end.
The prarabdha, is it for the body, is it for the soul?
We checked it somewhere. Very good point. Very good point.
We did it before we finished last week.
What do you say?
It's not for the body.
For who is it?
It is for the
We
body.
did it last time. Tell who did. For whom it is it then?
It is for the individual.
It's
With
for
the
the soul, mind.
unfulfilled...
Huh?
Mind.
For the mind with unfulfilled desires.
Seva. For whom is Pararabdha? It's not here.
For the subtle body.
It is for the mind. With the subtle body.
It's for the ego.
You want the truth or you want a story?
I want the truth.
There is nothing called prarabdha. Why? Why? We did this inquiry somewhere. The I is existing in its own absence, so it cannot take the prarabdha with it anywhere. Mind is continuously changing, the thoughts are continuously changing, so it cannot remember the prarabdha. Right? Body is inert, any inert matter, body, breath, mind, intellect, all are inert only, isn't it? None of them you can attribute the prarabdha. So just like body cannot, deeds done by the body cannot be accrued to the body in this life, or this body deeds cannot be accrued to the next body life, similarly, nothing from the mind, etc., can be brought into this life. This is the belief. We have created that system. Why? So that we, this unwanted why, it stops. Okay, you have done the right thing, therefore you are having a good life. You have done the bad things in life, therefore you are having a bad life right now. So at a relative level, yes, we tell that. But from absolute point, as we grow in our inquiry, there is nothing called prarabdha. Because there is no individual in the first place.
Say the cause and effect principle.
But your cause and effect is only a theory. Don't get lost in it. It's only a theory. It's a relative theory. And that cause and effect theory is a product of ignorance. Prarabdha is also a product of ignorance. Atma, Paramatma, moksha, liberation, bondage, panchakoshas, panchavivek, scriptures, everything is a product of ignorance. So don't take it too seriously. This is from the highest point. But till we don't get there, till then you follow this process. That's why I said, do you want the truth or you want the story?
What's the story?
Story is what we are studying. Scriptures after scripture after scripture after. It's a story of ours only, isn't it? We are approaching ourselves from very many different angles. Sometimes we go to bhajan, sometimes we listen to the Krishna story, sometimes we listen to Devon ke Dev Mahadev, sometimes we see Mahabharat. From all different ways we are trying to come to ourselves, which we already are. That is the story.
Somebody, what Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, that whatever where you finish your life and you start on the next life, that's the prarabdha is talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, but that is somewhere in the middle of the book, no?
Yeah.
Go to the 18th chapter. He's talking about Karma Yoga in the second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter. By fifth chapter, he has already deleted karma. What is the karma? In the fourth chapter, he says, seeing action in inaction and inaction in action is karma yoga. Oi baapre. See? The one who comes to recognize this then becomes qualified to do meditation. See? Then he builds upon that. He tells about meditation. Then he teaches you how to control your sense, that it is necessary to control senses, necessary to control the mind, necessary to contemplate on the substract, to go into meditation. Only when you live a balanced life will you be able to witness that you are the witness. And only live by living a balanced life. But you cannot live a balanced life. So, no, you can live a balanced life. That's right. Not you cannot live a balanced life. See? And how do you live a balanced life? That's my question again. Because we are so used to doing things in life Without activity, our life becomes meaningless. We feel immediately the word comes, I think I'm depressed. Why? Because I've got nothing to do. So how do you do? How do you live a balanced life? Without indulging in anything too much. But you have to do whatever you are doing in an inspired attitude. Whatever you are doing. Speaking, hearing, sitting, eating, walking, everything in an inspired attitude, but with detachment. But with detachment. Read chapter 6 Bhagavad Gita. So do inspired activity with an attitude of detachment. Then there is a possibility to move further. Then if you live like this, you are fully involved in life, but deep inside you are totally detached from it. Automatically your life will start getting balanced. Whatever has to be expressed, let it express. But inside you are detached. Whether it is projects, whether it is anger, whether it is good or bad thoughts, let everything express, but be detached. And as you live like this, slowly, slowly the senses will start coming under control. Then the mind will start coming under control. See? And after the chapter 12, even he drops devotion also. He drops devotion also. In chapter 8 he tells you about heaven and hell and the good path and the bad path, and then slowly from chapter 9, 10 he is bringing the aspect of divinity, making it more prominent, and Arjuna is getting sucked into that idea that Krishna is presenting to him. Eventually he says, I want to see who you are, and he shows him. But from 13th chapter onwards, again the topic of divinity, in form as an experience, he totally deletes it out of the system. Then he says, you are that, try to experience it yourself by getting established in that mindset. Then 13th chapter, Kshetrajna Yoga and so on. See? So there's the prarabdha is just one theory. What is the rule of this world if you see today? What is the rule of this world? The scientific world. Everything that we accept today is someone's theory, isn't it? Someone's theory, someone's invention, someone's finding. And after 10, 15 years, that finding, that theory, that conviction again is replaced by a new conviction. Agree or not? Huh? And that is what we have been living by default. Truth is not a conviction which can be replaced by another conviction. It is not. You can replace Krishna with Rama. You can replace Rama with Shiva. You can replace Shiva with Shakti. But the self cannot be replaced by another theory or another conviction, another idea. And to that self, to that Atman, Vedanta helps us to get. To get to Atman, there is no place for the 5 koshas, there is no place for the 5 great elements, there is no place for the Maya or the Sattva Rajas Tamas, there is no place for the Prarabdha, ideas of Prarabdha, there is no place for bondage and liberation, there is no place for efforts and desires. Nothing, because you are already that.
It's making people confused.
Because you are already that. Are you confused?
No.
Then
No need to listen all these things.
correct. Correct. To come to this conclusion is what we are studying. But if your attention is on the words, they sound confusing. If your attention is on the self, then it will be an appreciation. Wow. That these thoughts are reflecting exactly what is going on in my psyche. I remember in one of the retreats I told one Mahatma was reading Bhagavad Gita and someone went and said, Swamiji, you are realized master, why you have to read Bhagavad Gita? He said, I am seeing what it is telling about me. If that attitude, if attention is continuously on the self, then it is fantastic. Then you will not run away from scriptures. Neither you will run towards scriptures. But are you in that state of equanimity of the mind? Where not it, but then that attitude must be expressed of equanimity throughout the day. It is not enough. It is not, oh, then we don't have to do anything. If I feel like coming to the Gita class or the Pancadasi class, I'll come. If I don't feel like, I will not come. Why? Because I'm equanimous. If you don't feel like, it is not equanimity. See? We have to be very, very clear. In every aspect of our life, then that equanimity must present itself. Because equanimity cannot be created. It is or it is not. It comes as a result of certain conditions that you have created, which is a balanced lifestyle. See? If you can digest that, good. If not, continue. Where are we? The body was non-existent in the last life. How can it conduct this life? And this body will not exist in the next life. Therefore, the accumulated karma of this life will not be experienced by it in the next life. Purva janmani asat etat janma katham sampadayet. This body was not existing in the previous birth. How then can this body in this present birth take the karma phala from the previous life? Inert object cannot. For us, inert object means something which is solid, isn't it? But we have seen that even thoughts are inert only. Because our definition of inert is what? It should be here on your tips now. What is the definition of an inert object?
Changes with time.
That which changes. That which begins and that which ends is inert. So even thought which comes, yes, it is subtler than the body, no doubt, but still it comes under the category of inert. Bhavi janmani asat na bhunjiteha sanchitam. In the same way, the body will not be there in the next birth, so it cannot enjoy or suffer the sanchit karma accumulated by this body in this birth. This is a powerful line of thought to prove that the Annamaya Kosh is not the Atma. That means this Annamaya Kosh had a beginning and it will have an end. It was not present in the previous life and it will not be present in the next life. And that which is not present before and that which is not present after means it is only existing for a limited period of time. It is not continuous and therefore it cannot be Atma. Because Atma is continuous. Our point is this. Atma is continuous. Body is not continuous because it was absent before and it will be absent after. The Sanchit karma means the accumulated karma. So there is Sanchit karma which is called accumulated karma. There is Prarabdha karma, a part of the Sanchit karma which expresses in this life is called the Prarabdha karma, because of which even we are who we are, and the Agami karma, the karmas that we collect in this life knowingly or unknowingly, which will become sanchit karma for the next life. The sanchit karma which we have brought with us into the present birth were not produced by this in this body which we are occupying in this birth, but in another body in the previous birth. This body is only the place where the carried over sanchit karma is to be exhausted. In the meanwhile, more agami karma is being gathered, to exhaust which another body will be needed, and so the cycle goes on and on and on and on. Remember, enjoyer and the doer and the enjoyer, doer and the enjoyer, the enjoyer. That same cycle expressed here in a different way.
Swamiji, if Vedanta doesn't believe in karma, why do they expound so much on it here?
Only little bit. How much time?
Like
Even when we are
karmas.
talking about karma, where is our attention? You are talking only about one word. The underlying fact is that the body is not the Atma. We are trying to explain why body is not the Atma. We are not trying to prove karma is there or not there. Just taken one word out of context. What is the topic? What we are trying to prove here in last two verses? How body is not the Atma. So the prarabdha word, prarabdha karma or the sanchit karma or the agami karma, the word karma is being brought because karma is at the level of body, that is what we understand. But here it is being brought to prove how it is not possible. Thus these two shlokas, 2 points are established, that the gross body cannot be Atma because of the nature of its biography. What is its biography? It was absent before and it will be absent after. Therefore it cannot be Atma. And the second point, the body is not for the sake of body per se, but for the owner of the body, who has to be someone different from the body, who expresses through this body, who expresses through this body. Body cannot remain alive by itself. Body cannot do actions by itself. Body cannot walk by itself. The walker has to be there. The seer has to be there. The hearer has to be there. The talker has to be there. How and why Pranamaya Kosh cannot be Atma? So now we have come to this conclusion, because body was absent before and absent later, therefore it is not the Atma. Atma being the continuous principle. Now we can apply the same logic to the pranas also. They were not present before, they will not be present afterwards, and therefore it cannot be the Atma. But let's see what they say. Purno dehe balam yachan akshanam yapravartakaha vartakaha vayu pranamayo nasau atma chaitanya varjanat. That air which is occupying the whole body, giving energy to the senses and different faculties, and is thus the propeller of their activities, is called the vital air sheath. This also cannot be Atma, being devoid of consciousness. Why? Simple things. It was not there before, it will not be there afterwards. Second, I can control the movement of the breath. I can make it go fast, I can make it go slow, I can make it not move at all. So the controller has to be some other than the controlled. Inert can be controlled. The controller has to be some other entity, and therefore prana is also not the Atma. Also another Chaitanya Varjanat, the Atma. Vayu pranamayo nasau atma chaitanya varjanat. This breath, it is devoid of consciousness. Why? Can it think? No. Can it feel? No. Breath cannot think. Breath cannot feel. Breath doesn't have a life of its own. And I gave you the reasons. Because consciousness can control it. Either it can make it fast, it can make it go slow, or it can stop it. Yesterday I was watching one documentary in New Zealand. They go deep into the ocean and they were checking how long can you hold the breath. This boy, 24, 25, 3 years old, went down and 4 minutes, 4 minutes he held his breath and went 100 feet deep into the ocean. Whatever was kept there, picked that up and then came back up. 4 minutes. So that capacity is there. But whose capacity? Is it the breath's capacity? No. It is the one who is able to control the breath. He has that capacity. So Chaitanya Varjanat, breath is not conscious. So therefore also it cannot be Atma. The Pranmaya Kosh is inert and under the control of the Manomaya Kosh. Therefore, it cannot be Atma because it does not contain any trace of consciousness. If the mind sets itself, it can stop the breath, it can increase the breath, it can slow down the breath. And therefore also. There are two things about it. Breath also, because breath and mind are so close by, so interwoven with each other, that if you slow down the breath, the mind will also slow down. But if you stop the breath, mind does not stop. Mind continues. At a relative level, from Sankhya philosophy point of view, if you stop breathing, mind does not stop. Mind goes along with the soul to the next body, according to Sankhya philosophy. Isn't it? That's what we say. Soul has left the body to take another form. So what is soul? This should be on your tips. What is soul? Consciousness plus mind and intellect is soul. Okay. Consciousness plus mind and intellect is equal to soul. Is this soul possible? Relatively speaking, we say all this. From a Vedanta standpoint, this is only a working theory to explain certain things, but from Vedanta absolute standpoint, there is nothing called soul. If from water standpoint, is there something called a soul of the wave, left the wave and joined the total waters? Nothing like that. What about Manomaya Kosh? Ahantam mamatam dehe, tam mamatam dehe, ge adau chakaroti yah, kamadyavasthaya bhranto, nasavatma manomaya. That which identifies with the body, house, etc. as I and mine is mental sheath. It is under delusion and with modifications like desire, etc. cannot be Atma. That which identifies itself with the body, house, etc. as I and mine, Manomaya Kamadi Avasthaya Bhrantaha, is the Manomaya Kosh. Through the modification called Kama, Krodha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, etc., the mind is totally under the influence of delusion. Nasa Atma, it cannot be Atma. Why? Because it is agitated all the time. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsar, anger, greed, jealousy, envy, etc. These are agitations of the mind. And as long as the mind, and they are also coming and going. They are not permanent fixtures. So again, same rule. That which is coming and going cannot be the self. That which is supporting all this has to be the permanent one. And also, the Atma does not have the ego, it does not have the arrogance, it does not have jealousies, it does not have envy. Atma is all knowledge, content, all blissful. So there are no agitations in Atma, whereas mind is full of agitations. Now what is the position of Vijnanmaya Kosh? Lena Suptau Vapurbodhe. Vapurbodhe Vyapnuyad Anakhagraga. Apnuyad Anakhagraga. Chitchayopetadhirnatma. Chitchayopetadhirnatma. Vijnanamaya Shabdabhak. Vijnanamaya Shabdabhak. The intellect occupying the total body from the top to the toe during waking state and getting unmanifest during deep sleep state, associated with the reflection of consciousness, is the meaning of intellectual sheath, and this is also not the Atma. Why it is not the Atma? Because in the waking state it seems to be there. From where does it seem to be? From head to toe, it is covering the whole, it is taking the whole body into its cognition, and in deep sleep state, it drops that cognition, it drops that identification. And therefore, that sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. Cannot be. So where is the intellectual sheath in deep sleep state? It's vanished. Where is it in the waking state? It is only in the body, meaning that it is pervading from top to the bottom. And how is it pervading from top to the bottom? With the conviction that I am this body only. With the conviction that I am only this body. What is the total intellect then? Even though the topic is not here. What will be the total intellect? Which is identified with the total bodies. Still, it is a conditioning. Still, it is a conditioning.
But I thought deep sleep is a bliss state, no? No.
Correct, deep sleep is a bliss state. So, in the deep sleep state, there is no intellect. Where is the intellect there? It's unmanifest. Whereas when you come out of the deep sleep state, it becomes manifest. The intellectual sheath becomes manifest. I am lying in the bed, I am, and I have to go to work. Immediately, everything begins. The Manomaya Kosh and Vijnanmaya Kosh belong to the Antakarana, and therefore there is likelihood of being confused between the two. The difference between them is being explained. Kartrutva Karanatwabhyam. Kartrutva Karana. Oh, not Karana. Kartrutva Karanatwabhyam. Vakaranatwabhyam. Vikriyetantarindriyam. Vikriyetantarindriyam. Vijnanamanasi antaha. Jnanamanasi antaha. Bahishchaite parasparam. Bahishchaite parasparam. The inner instrument is further divided into intellect and mind. What is, okay, let me read that. As per their functional diversity, the former is associated with doership, while the latter, being instrument of knowledge, and are subtle and grosser in that sequence. So when we say ahanta and mamata, isn't it? First it was told mind expresses as ahanta, no, it didn't come here. Ahanta and mamata. So where does ahanta, the I-ness, appear? In the intellect. Where does mamata appear? In the mind. Attachment is in the mind, not in the intellect. Again, put it another way. We say the reflected consciousness takes place where? Where is the reflected consciousness? In the bliss sheath. Is it? Now I am asking.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
No. Reflected consciousness can be caught in the or takes place in the intellectual sheath. That reflected consciousness, when it gets corrupted for whatever reason, that's the phenomena, it immediately starts expressing as I thought and that thought, right? Where is the I thought? In the intellect. Where is the that thought? In the mind. So it is that mind, that aspect. So everything is mind alone from one point. But within that mind, this I thought and that thought. So that point, see, just where is the sunlight? Everywhere. Where is the sun? Only in one place. Isn't it? Sun and sunlight. So similarly, the I thought and the that thought. So I is in the intellectual sheath, and that thought which is many. Sun is one, but the rays are many. See? Water is one, but the waves are many. So that which is many, that manyness with which this I gets associated as if, is the mind. So that manyness is the mind. I-ness is only the one intellectual sheath. This is the functional difference. And other places they also say those thoughts which are decisive in nature are in the purview of intellect, and those thoughts which are indecisive in nature are in the purview of mind. That is also another, it is said in many texts. Although Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanmaya Kosha seem to be the same, there is a distinct difference in the field of their functioning. In the Vijnanmaya Kosha, there is Kartrutva Abhiman, a sense of doership, that is the I. While in the Manomaya Kosha, there is Karanatva Abhiman, or the instrument of knowledge. For example, the carpenter can be compared to the intellect and his tools to the mind. The modification of the antakaran, the inner organ or mind stuff, which deals with the instrumental part, is called Manomaya Kosha. That which is associated with doership because of the association with the reflected consciousness in the mind stuff is the Vijnanmaya Kosha. When there is no reflection of consciousness in the mind stuff, it only becomes the instrument of functioning. Joy and sorrow, etc., are experienced through the mind. But the one who functions through the mind is in the intellect. The stronger the personality, the stronger the ego. The stronger is the identification with the Vijnanmaya Kosha. The stronger are the reactions of the individual. The area of operation of the Vijnanmaya Kosha and Manomaya Kosha are internal and external respectively, and former is inner while the latter is exterior to it. So where does the mind function? In the external world. In the external world. Where does the I function? What is the internal world? I'm just testing you. Huh?
The realm of the intellect.
No. Antakaran. So what is the internal world? The I has to, for the world, for the I is all that-ness with which it relates itself, isn't it? Does the I go out there and relate? No. How does it know all that out there in the outer world?
So
If the mind is not there, can the I have a relationship with that?
which is
Can
the
it?
ego in this one?
No. Huh?
Which is the ego in this?
I. No, ego is still not there. Still not, that is not the point. Ego is a fictitious entity. But we are telling that if we are just talking about the internal world and the external world. Senses collect stimuli from the external world. To whom do they supply all that information? To the mind. What does mind do? Nothing. It just presents the whole data. It presents the whole data to the I. It presents the whole, and what does I do? So today I am sitting here and you all came into the class. Is today the same as last Wednesday? No. Are you the same person? No. Today you are wearing different colors, etc., etc. But when this information is presented by the senses to the mind, mind presents that data to the intellect, to the I. Now I, and it should end there. But what has happened? I gets identified. It says, oh, I have experienced this before in the last week. It's the same person. And he puts into a file called Shri Kumar, called Deven, called Mini, and creates connections. So this filing system is of the intellect, not of the mind. Mind has got nothing. It's like a big, like now all the voting has done, 800 million voted in India over 1 month. Where are those votes? They will be all brought to the polling booths, they will be emptied, that is the mind. Then what will they do? They will sort it out. Congress, BJP, AAP, and so on and so forth. So that sorting out, can it happen by itself? Mind cannot sort itself out. Mind is just a container where thoughts come.
Database.
It's just where the thoughts come. But then, suppose your email is there. Email comes, all the emails come there. But what do you do with those emails? When you have to search for some email from Mini, she sends some nice quotes, or Aarti who sends me some jokes, and someone sends me some, suppose I got the Telstra bills and this bill and different things. So every time I don't have to go through my emails to search which, oh my God, and become stressed. What do? I create folders on the side and I start putting all the related emails into each folder. Now what has happened? The moment I want any information about the quotes that Mini sent, I immediately go into Mini, all the emails with all the quotes are readily available without me having to go through thousands and thousands of emails that are there in my inbox. Isn't it? That inbox is like the mind, whereas the folders are like the intellect. And I is the one who is doing all that, operating. Because my folders cannot be created by themselves. Someone has to, some conscious entity has to create it. That I is that.
So is that
But who is this I which feels? Now there is the third thing. This is not possible. Information coming into the mind and then getting distributed into different folders. This is also the job of that I, which feels it is which feels that it is identified with all the information. That is the fictitious entity, which feels that it is continuous with respect to all the stimuli that are coming. It's that ego which is creating the folders. If that continuous ego you remove out of the system, only you take the I will have a relationship with you, that thought dies away, then this, again the I has relationship, has an interaction with you, it dies away. I has the interaction with her, it dies away. I does not die away, the object dies away.
No memory.
No memory. It's, I explained to you many times that I, when you take the fuljhadi, the sparkler, and you turn it around and round, actually it is one, but it is going at such a great speed that you see a circle. You see a continuity of the sparkler, isn't it? That continuity of the sparkler is the illusory ego. Is the illusory ego. This feeling that you have, that I was yesterday, that I am today, that I will be tomorrow. This continuity is the illusion. And on one hand, it is true, because self is continuous, it can never be denied. But that continuity has been superimposed on body, breath, mind, intellect. And we are taking this body, breath, mind, intellect to be the continuous. Because only through thoughts we say, I was yesterday. So if this cycle can be broken, then a Mahatma is born. Let the mind function, let the body function, let the breath function. You disidentify from it. Then a wise man is born at that very moment. What we have presented you just now is very technical. That is not the point that we are making here at the moment. It's very basic. But because it happened. It happened. So, because we have studied other things, so I'm saying. So understand this. I is always there. Yes, I is there. But that continuity of the I is that cannot be erased. You create circumstances where that erosion takes place. And what is that circumstances? Live a balanced lifestyle. Don't get attached to anything. Live a life of detachment. And how do you practice that life of detachment? You cannot detach from anything. You cannot grow out of anything. But you think about the divine within your heart. Detachment will take place. Understand what your essence is. Understand what is the purpose of life. Understand why we are coming here. Why we are come together. Why do we do anything in life? Is it for temporary joy, or we are searching that permanent bliss which is eluding us all the time? And that's the next topic, Anandamaya Kosha. The Anandamaya Kosha is taken for discussion. Kachid antarmukha vrittihi, antarmukha vrittihi, ananda pratibimba bhak, ananda pratibimba bhak, punya bhoge bhoga shantau, punya bhoge bhog shantau, nidra rupena liyate, nidra rupena liyate. Some thought, while experiencing the results of a good deed, having become introvert, gets the reflection of the blissful self. After this experience is over, becomes unmanifest in deep sleep, is called bliss sheath. So what is that? You have some experience and you feel joyful. And that experience does not need to be only in the outside world. You can close your eyes, imagine something, and have a great experience of Anand inside. But how long does it last? For some time, isn't it? You will eat food now, come tomorrow morning, again you will be demanding food. Then what type of bliss did you get? If our Atma is of the nature of Sat Chit Ananda Swarup, then this Ananda that we got because of food, because of a movie, because of a chocolate, because of a partner, because of a child, it's temporary. It is not permanent. Recognize this. That bliss has been, that we have been pursuing objects in the world, and those objects become the cause of expression of bliss within. How does bliss come? Whenever you have a desire for something, suppose I have a desire for chocolate, I want a chocolate, I put efforts to get the chocolate, I get the chocolate. Till I don't get the chocolate on my tongue, till then I'll be agitated, I'll be putting efforts. Once the chocolate comes on my tongue, at that very moment, the desire for chocolate becomes zero. When the desire for chocolate becomes zero, the thought of chocolate is not erupting in my mind. When the thought is not erupting in my mind, the self is expressing in its fullness. So self is that Ananda Swarup is the nature of the self, but for that moment that Ananda has expressed. But how long it lasts? Till the chocolate is there. The moment it goes away, I have experienced that Ananda, which was of the self, but what I have superimposed it upon? On the chocolate. And this is the trap I fall into. And then once I have experienced, I put it on chocolate, then next time again I want a chocolate to experience the same Anand. Then that is not enough. Now I want something more intense Anand, so I find something else. But Anand is not in the objects of the world. Anand is the nature of my self. And that nature of the self, when it expresses through an empty mind, through a thought-free mind, is this Anandamaya Kosha.
But it does express sometimes. It can express sometimes without any reason to be happy.
It can. But how long will your mind accept that? Immediately it starts giving commentary. I think it is because of this. I think it is expressing without any reason. If you have said that to yourself, it's already sabotaged.
Swamiji, when the thought is vanished, the self is, what do you call it, experience the self, isn't it? That's why the Anandamaya, you get the bliss coming, isn't
Why
it?
should the thought
How can self experience itself? It's always experiencing itself.
That's right, but
If you remove the,
if the thought is removed by self because it's satisfied, and then we are with ourselves and then
correct. From a relative standpoint, if you remove the thought, the mind becomes one with the self.
And
Correct.
then it comes out.
So,
the Ananda
so,
comes
so,
out.
so it's like removing the cloud. When the cloud is removed, the sunshine is received.
That's right.
So you remove the cloud of thought, you remove the cloud of desire, then the anand of the self becomes available all the time, automatically. And that is but what we do, immediately that experience is over, we put it on the chocolate. We attach it to the chocolate. We forget that Ananda was of the self, but instead, because of our default processes, we start saying the Ananda was because of the chocolate, Anand is because of the travel or good food or the sweet. It is, but if it was so, then that sweet, that chocolate should give joy to everyone in the world, but it doesn't. See?
What we are, or the happiness is coming from within, isn't it?
Yes. Coming from the source, coming from
Source
Atma,
is inside.
Atma.
Atma.
from the self. Because Atma is Satchidanand Swarup. Atma is that material, is that thing, if we may use that word, that vastu, which is one without a second. See? It is one without a second. There is nothing else other than the self. So to superimpose that joy, which is the nature of Atma, on an object is foolishness.
That's right. It is our inherent happiness we are experiencing, but we put it onto the
Exactly.
See,
you make your own desires and
Yeah.
you satisfy it and you feel happiness.
Happiness,
If you don't have any desires, that happiness should express its own.
Express, that's right.
It is always expressing.
It's always expressing.
It is always expressing, even if there is no desire.
But we think it's connected.
But we think
that
we have created a what you call a loop in our mind where we have connected that joy, that happiness, to attainment or satisfaction of some desire.
Desires.
That is the trap we have created for ourselves, and that trap has begun from accepting that I am the body. From there the trap has started. So the first stage is drop body identification, and that is the process that I will show in this. Although the mind has the ability to reflect the consciousness fully, this reflection is not complete and perfect because of agitations due to desire and the mala, the dirt of ignorance. When the object of desire is obtained, at that very moment the mind attains agitationlessness, perfect stability without any movement, which is equal to the ananda that we experience. And the vritti or thought is no more extroverted because of agitations. The moment we enjoy something, where is our attention? Eyes closed, attention goes within. Any time we experience joy, we always go introvert. It turns inwards and is able to be in association with the light and bliss of reflected consciousness to the fullest extent. Such a fully blissful reflection of consciousness in the mind stuff is called Anandamaya Kosh. The Anandamaya Kosh is able to manifest because of the result of good deeds in the past. When this result fructifies, the individual is in a state of fulfillment. See? To live at Anandamaya Kosh also is a great blessing, even if you get there. How many people sleep peacefully at night? It's a great blessing. Huh? How many people listen to this type of text and can still feel joyful? Some people say it's confusing. Some people say it is too much. Oh my God, I want something simple. But if you can appreciate it, you are there. If some people don't enjoy bhajans and kirtan, but if you can be there and make that as a stepping stone to the Anandamaya and enjoy it, you are in Anandamaya Kosh. The idea is not to get obsessed with Anandamaya Kosh, but to experience Anandamaya Kosh anyway as you are moving through life, recognizing and to break that cycle that this ananda that I am experiencing is not because of the objects, but it is the expression of the self. If we can do that every moment of our existence, fantastic. Because life is presenting such opportunities so many times a day. Bhoga sandau nidra rupena liyate. When the desire fulfillment is over, the Anandamaya Kosha goes back to its source and is unmanifest in the form of deep sleep. In this way, the Anandamaya Kosha is expressed as Punya Bhoga or blissful disposition, or as total absorption in deep sleep state. When all except the Pranamaya Koshas are absorbed. That means Manomaya Kosh, Vijnanmaya Kosh become unmanifest. When they become unmanifest, only Anandamaya Kosh is expressing. Because we have used the word Anandamaya Kosh, nothing like that. It's just a state of nothingness. When do we feel the maximum joy? When we are not thinking, isn't it? What is the period that we are not thinking? Deep sleep, which is free of all thoughts. That is our maximum joy. As much as you may enjoy this daytime, maximum 2 days you will be able to enjoy, 3 days maximum. After that you will want to go to sleep. We are 10 minutes past. I asked too many questions. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.